Hi everyone, I'm Dan Albers and welcome to Redskin Review. Today's show is being taped on, November the 5th. And in this final episode here, we're going to talk about the last loss here to Kings and Knights. We're going to talk about some of the teams in our conference that are in the playoffs, and obviously look forward to talking about some of the Redskins for next year, and then also talk about some of the big news that came out this past week with Jeff, and we'll get back to that a little bit later on. But always joining us is Jeff. Jeff, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome, Danny.
But let's get into the game a little bit. You played an unbelievably talented Kings team.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people realize how good they really are. Just watching them, before you know it like that, you're down 35-0.
They were just very talented. They have a tremendous offensive line. I told Andy before the game, I said, this is the best offensive line you've ever had since we've been playing you. And he agreed. Most of them, I think at least four of them are seniors. Mm-hmm. Quarterback's a junior, and he's a second-year starter. They kept him up as a freshman just to practice with the varsity, and he played JV. He's really good. They've got a quick running back. They've kind of got everything on offense, and then defensively, they've got two defensive linemen that are just out of this world. And, you know, they've got a great chance. I told Andy, if you can get out of our region now, that's a tall order because of LaSalle. But I said, you can make some noise because you've got the pieces, you know, to make a run. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, we talk about that with you. When you had your state run, you had a quarterback, you had your wide receivers, you had your running backs. Their quarterback against you, he was 14 for 16, 264, and 3 times. I mean, he's a really, really good quarterback, as you talked about.
We couldn't get a pass rush for anything. I mean, their big offensive linemen just extended their arms, and they, you know, we weren't even getting close to him. And then, you know, nobody was open. He'd just take off running. He's a big 220-pound kid or so, and he's tough.
And we talked to some of the guys that do the broadcast for Kings, and talking about the wide receivers and talking about how good they were, and they were as advertised too. They were pretty good. They had Jake, I think, Slisky had like 19 catches, 100-something yards. He was a good player too.
Oh, they're really good. They're really good.
And I heard before the game, you had, I think Denise was telling me this, and I'm not sure if this is correct, that 19 kids that you had possibly that were injured that started the season, or somewhere roughly around there?
It might have been 19 that started. A couple of those might have ended up quitting. But I think we had 14 or 15 that were injured the other night. Now, I just, you know, it's hard for me to understand how that happens all the time. But some of it is half our team was sophomores this year, and when you have 15 and 16-year-olds playing against 17 and 18-year-olds, sometimes that happens. And, you know, it was just unfortunate. You know, and we had two of our best players, Dylan and Blake, we didn't play the last 3 games, and Dylan almost really didn't play the last 4 games. He played 1 quarter against Turpin.
Yeah.
So that was tough. That was really tough to overcome, to lose those guys, and you know, and then losing some of the sophomores that were helping us really hurt our depth.
Yeah, and I don't care what team you are, it's very hard to overcome when you have that many injuries.
Right.
One bright spot for you, with about 8 minutes ago, you had a second quarter. You had I think it was Blaha had a nice run, 56. He looked pretty good when he was in there running the ball. He's
going to be a nice running back. He's a downhill runner. He's decisive. He's got a little sneaky fast, you know. And he's a pretty strong kid, a tough kid, and you know, he just likes to play. When he was playing defense, we had him on defense most of the year, and when he's playing defense, he just goes and finds the ball. He might not have the best technique, and maybe it doesn't read it as quick as he should, but then he hustles to get there, and he just likes to be around the football.
And you had Jay Volpenheim. He struggled a little bit this week. They put a lot of pressure. Yeah. They were very good. Their defensive ends were really good. And he struggled a little bit offensively.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he looked like a sophomore the other night. But he's going to be a good quarterback because, you know, he cares and he's smart. And he's got a good build to him. He's going to be taller, get taller, and throws a pretty good ball. He's got a nice pocket presence. He doesn't you know, he's not afraid to hang in there. So, you know, we expect bright things out of him in the future, but going against Kings is that's tough.
He did hook up though at the end with Kyle Rogers, a nice 24-yard pass. That was nice to see.
Right, he did. And Kyle had a nice game too.
And it looks like for those guys, running back, quarterback looks future for them.
Yeah, they're both sophomores. They'll be juniors next year. I think Kyle will be the running back, but then, you know, there's still Sammy Chowdhury in the mix, and Andy Schlager, and then some of the freshmen when they move up. But yeah, I'd say Blaha's probably the #1 candidate for that position, and Jay would be the number one kid coming in a quarterback.
Let's talk a little bit about, as we always do when we end the season, talk about some of your seniors that are outgoing. I know 3 guys in particular that have played a lot of minutes for you is Blake White, Connor Wielden, and Dylan Smith. Those guys, some pretty special players, and it's sad to see those guys in their career.
Yeah, it is. Blake was, he's from the White family where he's the third one to play football for us. We had Tyler and Matt and now Blake, and he's a 3-year starter. He had a phenomenal career. He plays so hard all the time, and it's unfortunate he hurt his shoulder and couldn't finish the year the way he wanted to. One of the better defensive linemen in our league, I think, and he could have been one of the better tight ends as well. He was all league last year, but we didn't use him at tight end as much because we needed him on defense so bad. And he was one of our captains. He had a great career, and then Connor was a 3-year starter, really good receiver, and was tall and lanky and great hands. And then Dylan was as far as I know, the only 4-year letterman, at least since I've been here at Anderson, and it's tough to letter in football for 4 years. He was the punter his freshman year and his sophomore year, and also the backup quarterback then, and he's been the quarterback the last 2 years, and the punter. So he had a phenomenal career as well.
I know the record doesn't indicate how successful these guys were, but I've had a lot of coaches and a lot of people have said to me that they've always still played hard, and that is really an indication they were still playing hard, even though they were down Friday night. They still played very hard. Yeah,
it's just unfortunate, the injuries, and when you looked at our kids compared to King's kids, they were bigger in just about every spot, and like I said, we're still a fairly young team, and next year, we'll have a lot of juniors. It'll be a junior-driven team because it'll be about maybe 15 seniors is all.
I don't even know if we really discussed. Did you even figure out like an offense, defense? I didn't even ask you about that before we went on air. Do you have any clue who might have been that for?
Players of the game?
Yeah, players of the game.
Yeah, Kyle Blaha was the offensive player of the game. He had a great game, and then Kyle Rogers had a really nice game on defense. I think he ended up with 10 tackles. And Kyle really had a great second half of the season, the last 6-7 games after the McNick game. He played a lot of minutes, probably more than anybody on our team. Had a great senior year, and then Connor Wielden, because of his kickoff returns, was a special teams player.
Okay, well, that's good. Well, real quick, before we'll get to Mike Arlenhouse is going to join us here, talk about the freshmen, but talk a little bit about what the JV, did they play on?
They played. It was rough. They had to play against that freshman quarterback that played against us.
Oh, yeah.
So King says just a loaded freshman class, and they had 4 of them up with the varsity, and one of them was at number 13. So they got beat pretty bad on Saturdays, 55-7.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then the freshmen, obviously, as we're going to talk about.
Freshmen had a big win, 6-0, and made them league champs.
All right, so we're going to take a little bit of a break right now. We're going to get with Mike Arlenhouse to talk about the freshman football team. We'll be back right after this. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Redskin Review. We're joined by Mike Arlenhouse, who's going to talk about the freshman football team. And Mike, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Freshman team, obviously, as we said earlier with Jeff, ended up being league champs. Talk a little bit about that freshman team and how great of a season they had.
Well, we had an 8-2 season. First 7 games we won. I think we were only giving up 6-7 points a game. And then we faced Lebanon and Glen Estee, and we got beat by those 2. Then we came to Kings, and with Kings was for the league championship. And it was a tough battle when we finally came out in the fourth quarter and scored 6-0. And that's how we ended up.
That's a big. Talk a little bit about some of the guys that you have. I haven't get to watch some of the freshman games, but I do know one kid that played on your team that his dad played here, Charlie Lackmeyer. Jacob Lackmeyer, I think, played. Give me some of the other guys that played on the team that did very well.
Well, you had Jacob Lackmeyer. You had another Rogers in the family. Last Rogers coming through. Last Carell's coming through. Yeah. Jimmy O'Toole was a lineman for us. We had Mason. I forget how to pronounce Mason's last name, but Mason's a really good quarterback. He reminds me of Nick Mason years ago. Same build, same footwork, and everything else like that. But what made it so good about the team was they were a team. They played hard together. They believed in each other. They believed in the coaching staff. We believed in them. And, it's just a very special team. And we had 100% support from all the parents. It was just a wonderful time.
Give me some position-wise. Quarterback, who was your quarterback? Wide receiver, running back, give me some of those positions.
Well, we had Jacob Lackmeyer, Oliver Madrill, Rogers. And then when that quarterback, we had Mason, like I was saying, and also Jacob and Oliver and all those guys also played tailback for us. So we And I'm sorry, I also forgot Joey Newton. Les Newton coming through. So all those guys played wide receiver. They played running back for us. So we had a very nice package. Then we had Zeke Correll, Jimmy O'Toole on the line. We had the Stoney brothers, the twins, on center and guard. So we had a great package. And we also had, the tradition coming through, because all of them we had a lot of tradition coming through. So
talk a little bit about some of the guys that are coaching staff that were on there to get you through the season.
Okay, we had Jimmy Burns. He was the head coach. Jimmy also teaches at Nagel Middle School. Jimmy's from Rochester, New York, and he's been coaching with the program, I think, at Nagel for 3 years, and this was his first year being a head coach. I've been with the freshmen for 3 years, and we also had Brian Bell, who graduated in 2012 from Anderson. He coached our linebackers. He was the defensive coordinator. So we got along great. It was a great time. It was a lot of fun.
Well, most importantly, we talked right before we went on air, is let's talk about them academically. They did very well academically this year.
Yes, our team average academically was 3.37, and then I broke it down even more. And our starting players, we only had 27 kids. So out of starting players, about 16, we had an average of 3.89.
Wow.
So there's no more dumb football players here.
That's pretty good. Well, talk about some of these kids. Are these kids ready to take the next level? We've always talked about how when they're freshmen, it's different from playing JV ball. JV ball is going to be a lot different than freshman ball. Do you think these kids are ready to take the next step?
Oh, absolutely. The main thing is that they're a team, and we always talk about, Jeff and I always talk about the team concept. You got to be a team. You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your fellow teammate. You got to believe in the coaches. You got to believe in the program. So when you have all those elements there, all you can do is be successful.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to fill us in on the freshman team, and we're going to be back with Jeff with some more closing comments. All right, everyone, welcome back to Redskin Review. We're joined back here with Coach Giesting, and I think one of the things we talked about earlier was the big news that happened before Monday, I believe it was, is that after 29 years here at Anderson, 9 years as the head coach, you've decided to resign, and just talk a little bit about that for a few minutes.
Well, this is my 28th.
28th,
year,
okay.
But 19 as an assistant and 9 as the head coach. I decided in August this was going to be my last year as head coach. I still want to continue to coach as an assistant. And again, that's up to whoever they hire,
right,
whether he wants me to help him or not. Because I still love coaching football. It's just great thing to do. But the administrative stuff of it, and the time that it takes, it's 365 days.
Right.
I mean, you rarely leave it behind where you're not thinking of something that has to be done. And there's all kinds of tasks between ordering equipment and managing the equipment, and all the different with the uniforms and then you have to hire coaches and manage the coaches, and then worry about the academic side of it with these kids, and all the different things that are going on in their lives and stuff. There's always something that's happening, and then the fundraising part of it is.
Got to deal with guys like us.
Well, thanks to you, we get something done. That's a difficult part of it as well, but it's a necessity in today's world.
Yep.
To raise funds. So a lot of that was just taking some of the fun out of it for me. I really enjoyed practice. Told my wife all the time, I love going to practice and I love coaching the games. I said the other stuff I could do without, and so it was the best decision for me at this point in my life, and hopefully, like I said, I can continue as an assistant coach.
If something doesn't materialize, we just take some time off, or you think you're going to get back into it one way or the other?
I don't know. I might go into broadcasting.
Oh, jeez, that'd be great. Me and you in the same booth together. That could be scary.
No, I'll take. If I don't find the right type of position,
right.
I'll just take a year off or something and find something else.
I was thinking about this, just trying to think of some questions for you about. Let's go way back here. Do you remember the first year coming at Anderson High School, and a lot of things have obviously changed since the first year you were here.
Yeah, we didn't have this office and this weight room, and we practiced up on the grass. I had a little silver S10 truck we took the equipment up on every day. I remember getting irritated because it was only a couple years old when I brought it down here. And they had set the coolers on the hood and moved them around, scratched the hood.
Yeah.
But that thing ran up and down the hill for 10 years or more. And just, the first class we had is one I remember with, with Johnny Paxton and Paul Richards and Scott Collins and all those guys, and they had a great season. They really did. There was a lot of good football players in that class, and working so closely with Vince all those years, and Randy Corbett was with us early on, and we had a really a good coaching staff. We didn't have as many as we do now because we didn't have as many players, and the kids always went both ways. But we just found a way to get it done, and ran into some luck of having some really good, talented athletes for a while. We had a real string of tailbacks for years and years, and that makes it a lot easier when you have somebody talented to hand the ball off to.
Yeah.
That were Division I caliber type athletes.
You had the opportunity, obviously, as you said, to coach some great athletes. Is there any players or any certain teams that stick out in your mind?
Well, I think the first team. The 92 team. That was my first. I was teaching a lot of those kids my first year here, and they were in the 8th grade. Joe Dunn, Nate Cosman, Jason Druso, and Jason Bell, and all those guys. And they were really a great group of talented kids. I mean, they didn't lose a freshman game. They didn't lose a JV game. And they were winning all their varsity games till they got beat 14-7, I think, by St. X in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Back when only 4 teams qualified, and it was a great game up at Galbraith Field. And,
Bad spot.
Bad spot. We were driving, and I thought Jason got the first down. Didn't get a very good spot. We still would have had to score and so forth, but we gave them a heck of a run. And they probably would have won the state that year, but their quarterback got hurt in the state finals. So that was a great group. The 96 team, which had Vince's oldest son Michael on it, and Ryan Collar, they stick out. Obviously, in 03, I think Matt Molinax, that was another great team we had. Those guys, and Kurt Shoemaker and those guys had a great year. My son's senior year was the year before I became head coach. They were 7-3, and they were really a good team. Mark Wetter and Joe Flading were 2 Division I linemen. Jake Davis had a great career at Mount St. Joe. Nicky Weiss played at Denison. There were some good athletes in that class, and unfortunately got upset one game up at Mason in the rain, and Kyle couldn't play because of his appendix getting out. That was when Daniel Rod got thrown in the fire.
Wow.
We lost a tough one up there and didn't qualify for the playoffs. But that was a good team. And then the next year, obviously, winning the state championship, first year's head coach. I mean, just everything just fell together, and we had a good little run going there for a couple of years.
Well, just talking about that was my next question, is that you coached your son, former quarterback, and were you able to actually watch him quarterback, or were you too worried about your defense because you were coaching defense?
His junior year, he played safety, so I got to coach him quite a bit. And, and then as he became the quarterback his senior year, and I didn't, not until I watched the film did I really get to watch a lot. Sometimes you're busy on defense and you can't watch the plays and things like that. But that was a neat experience, coaching Kyle, and I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. And, so I've had a lot of just wonderful moments, and hopefully there's more to come.
Well, we've been doing this together for, 9 years now, and I just want to thank you for, what you've done for me, for the former players. I know as a former player, not getting to be a part of, we got beat up. I mean, we just got literally crushed, and to be a part of the state championship, to be a part of that made me feel good, and I appreciate that. Appreciate all the time that you've put in. I mean, you've done a really phenomenal job. I'm gonna miss you.
Appreciate it, Dan.
So just thank you for all that. And I don't think people understand too, like he was saying about the time. You got the golf outing that you do on your time. We went from 30 golfers to 60 to 70 to 80. It's all about the kids, and that's what Jeff did. And for you to call me, that was a pretty class act. To call both of us to tell us that you're going to. I mean, that to me shows you what kind of a person you are.
You and John have been great supporters of mine, and I called you guys, called Sally and Vince, by the way, that first night. And just to let you know, because you deserve to know instead of hearing it online, and because with social media today, and once I told the kids it was going to get out and stuff like that, and it's just I remember I'm very grateful for the people that have helped me, and worked with me and so forth, and I think you have to be that way. It's not a one person that should get all the credit for the successes, just as one person shouldn't get all the blame for the bad things that happen. It's a group effort, and that's what makes Anderson football a special thing, is people like you and John, former athletes here that are still wanting to be involved, and the former players. I got some great emails. I got one from Dave Hampton, we called Slick back in 1990.
Yep.
Got a great email from him, and hadn't heard from him for years, but he remembered some things, and that was neat, and a lot of good text, and so it's just been a neat experience this week. And like I said, I'm just not going to be the head coach anymore. Hopefully I'll be on the sidelines or in the press box next year helping Anderson win some games.
Well, that'll be good. And again, just you've done a lot, and I know that from all of us, we really appreciate everything you've done. And there's a lot of people out there that really appreciate the time and effort that you put in, because it really is a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of work. And to do this with me every Wednesday night, you can be going home and eating and all that, but you come in here and do this, and I really do appreciate everything that you've done for us.
It's fun. It's a way to promote our kids and our program, and it's just it's a kind of a good thing to do, I think, and you have to promote,
right?
And you have to, like I said, fundraising's big, promotion's big, and this reached a lot of people now. In the old days it was on cable access, and now it's on the internet and so forth.
Well, I hope now that maybe you can golf with me and be a partner on my golf team, because I think you would love it. We'd finish in last place probably, but I think you'd have a good time.
Yeah, I'm sure I would.
But again, I appreciate everything you've done, and hopefully good luck, and hopefully you will be here coaching, and we can still kind of catch up and maybe do some of these shows, and you can bring in the coach and show how we do this and all that stuff. But I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll make it happen for him.
All right. Thanks, Jeff, again for everything you do.
Sure.
All right, so that's Jeff Giesting joining us on his final Redskin review here at Anderson High School. And again, we appreciate all this help. And again, real quick, want to thank everybody. John Raymond's helped us out each week. Kevin Crago, Don Marcello, Steve Martin, Greg Ellis. Every year, 25 years we've been doing this, and just been a lot of fun. So we appreciate everything. And again, it was kind of emotional up there with Denise, because that was our last game with Denise. She got very emotional, and we've been together with her just about the same amount of time, 8-9 years, and she's just been a great part of the program as well. So it was great to say something to her and be a part of that. So again, I appreciate everybody's help, and again, good luck. Good luck next year.
Appreciate it.
All right, so for Dan Alberts, Jeff Giesting, Mike Arlinghouse, and John Raymond, you've been watching Redskin Review. We'll catch you next year.